Tallstar's Revenge, Chapter 9. Tallpaw raced to the camp entrance. Zeus soaked his paws. The sun was just looking over the horizon. Its rays spilled over the heather, setting the purple flowers alight until the moor glowed. Tallpaw was the first cat awake, eager to leave for the dawn patrol. He'd poke Shrewpaw as he padded out of the den, but the dark brown apprentice was still half asleep. Through the gap beneath the grass, Tallpaw could see him blinking groggily over the edge of his nest. The long grass rustled beside the meeting hollow, and Dawnstripe slid out. She yawned and stretched, and then padded over the tusks. "Good morning, Tallpaw." "Hi, Dawnstripe." Tallpaw flicked his tail. "Are we going to check all the borders?" This was his first dawn patrol. Dawnstripe shook her head. "That would take too long." She jerked her muzzle toward the long grass where more cats were emerging into the open. Stageleap, Restock, and Larksplash will patrol the moor edge and grouch with us. Headlight, Shrewpaw, Dowspring, and Appledawn will remark the borders near Vortrees and ShadowClan. Shrewpaw padded, yawning from the apprentice's den. "Is there time to raid the prey heap before we leave?" His belly growled. Tallpaw glanced across the clearing. There was only a stiff fall and a squashed mouse in the pile. "Perhaps you'll catch something while you're patrolling." Dawnstripe's ears twitched. "No hunting until the borders have been checked." Shrewpaw's belly rumbled out. "He'll settle out of the hunting patrol soon." Dawnstripe dipped her head excitedly. "There will be prey on the heap by the time you get back." "How can you be hungry?" Tallpaw was too excited to eat. He patted around Dawnstripe. Shrewpaw sat down and began to wash his face. "I've done dawn patrol, remember?" "Can't be bored of it." Tallpaw tasted the air, wondering what the moor was like this early. "What if we see an intruder?" he asked Dawnstripe. "Can we chase it?" "Larksplash is leading the patrol," Dawnstripe meowed. "You'll have to ask her." Larksplash was already heading toward them. Tallpaw raced to meet her. "If we spot an intruder, can we chase it?" "It depends." Larksplash padded past him. Tallpaw bounced after her. "On what?" "On whether it's a sheep, or a dog, or a rouge." Larksplash stopped beside Dawnstripe. "If it's a threat to the clan, then we chase it." Tallpaw's imagination began to whirl. What if they surprised the River Clan patrol trying to invade the moor? What if a stray dog needed to be chased off? "When are we leaving?" he asked. He mewed to Dawnstripe. Larksplash answered. "When Restock and Stageleap stop gossiping and join us." The young warriors stood at the top of the meeting hall with Dowspring. They'd been warriors for half a moon. Tallpaw had watched their ceremony, secretly proud that he helped with their assessment. He'd nearly outrun them, and he was even faster now. With a little more training, he was sure he'd be the fastest cat in the clan. "Restock!" Larksplash flicked her tail, and the gray she-cat looked up. "Coming!" Restock leaped over the tusks with Stageleap close behind. "Sorry!" She skated to a halt on the wet grass. Stageleap's eyes brightened. "Is Tallpaw patrolling with us?" "Yes," Tallpaw huffed out his chest. "Want a race?" Stageleap poked the ground excitedly. "Yes, please." Larksplash stepped between them. "We're patrolling, not racing," she meowed sternly. "I want your attention to focused on the borders." Tallpaw glanced at his paws, peeking at Stageleap underneath his fur. The dark brown Tom's whiskers were twitching with amusement. "Sorry, Larksplash," he straightened his tail respectably, but his whiskers kept twitching. Tallpaw swallowed a purr. "No racing, I promise. No having fun whatsoever on the dawn patrol." Huffing, Larksplash turned away and headed toward the entrance. Tallpaw brushed past. Restock brushed past Tallpaw. "She doesn't mean to be bad-tempered," she whispered. "She's just not a dawn cat." I have the feeling Shrewpaw stared beerly at the rest of his patrol as they headed toward him. You'll feel better once the wind's in your fur, Restock promised as she followed on straight through the entrance. Outside, the air was sweet with heather blossom. The sun was climbing into a pale blue sky. Tallpaw narrowed his eyes against the glare. He could make out pockets of mist pooling in dips and hollows across the moor. Heat would burn them away because before long it was going to be another scorching day. Tallpaw felt the breeze in his tail. Which way? He asked Larksplash. She was already heading upslope toward the high moor, where we set the markers along the thunder path first. But there's no clan beyond that border. Tallpaw caught up to her, waving around a clump of heather to stay near her. Why do we have to mark it? There are roaches and loners out there, Larksplash reminded him. It's only fair to warn them they've reached clan territory. I thought we welcomed roaches. Tallpaw glanced over his shoulder, sat down straight. She was watching the horizon. Was she looking out for the Greenleaf visitors? Stageleap caught up. I know you said no racing. He turned around, amber gaze on Larksplash. But we're not at the border. Reekstock popped up beside her brother. We'd get there quicker if we ran. Larksplash rolled her eyes. Okay then, but don't get too excited and be careful of the thunder path. We're not paws anymore, Stageleap retorted. Tallpaw is, Larksplash reminded him. So be careful. Stageleap caught Tallpaw's eyes. Ready? Ready! Tallpaw tensed, feeling the energy surge beneath his pelt. Go! Reekstock crashed away through the heather. Stageleap chose a wider course, skirting the bushes, changing for a stretch of grass. Beyond, grass makes easier running. Tallpaw raced after Stagepaw. His paws skidded in the dew as he swerved around the heather. Reekstock exploded from the bushes beside him as he veered into Stageleap's trail. She whisked past him with a yell of triumph. Tallpaw dug in his claws and pushed harder. The ground sloped steeply ahead of them. Reekstock pounded over the grass, but she couldn't match her brother's strength. Stageleap streaked higher, stretching farther with each stride. Tallpaw found his rhythm until he was skimming the ground, hardly touching with his paws. Wind streamed through his whiskers as he ran past Reekstock. Stageleap was only a tail length away. The top of the moor loomed above him. The blue sky was stretching out endlessly beyond. As Tallpaw drew closer, Stageleap crested the rise and began to charge down the other side. Tallpaw glanced back. Reekstock was lagging, but she put on a spurt of energy to crest the rise and hurtled down after them. Slope gave Stageleap an extra burst of speed. His wide shoulders and stocky build might slow him uphill, but he could use his strength to race harder than ever. Tallpaw lengthened his stride, but Stagepaw was pulling farther ahead as the slope flattened out beside the thunder path. The young warrior slowed to a halt and lifted his tail in victory. Nice try, Stageleap puffed as Tallpaw reached him. I'll get you one day, Tallpaw panted. Reekstock pulled up beside him. I'm hopeless on grass. She struggled to get her breath. I'd rather sprint over rabbit trails. The thunder path glittered in the sunshine a few tail lengths away. You're better at twists and turns, Stageleap agreed. Next time we'll race through heather. The thunder path glittered in the sunshine a few tail lengths away. Tallpaw clicked along as he caught his breath. He'd never been this close. Where are the monsters? It was deserted. They come later, Stageleap told him. Reekstock glanced over her shoulder. We've passed the scent line. Tallpaw tasted the air. The acid tang of the thunder path mingled with stale wind scent. Let's start resetting the markers. Stage Sleep turned back. Before Lark Splash gets hissy. As Tallpaw followed, he spotted Dawnstrip's golden pelt flash further up the slope. She was bounding toward him, her tail brushed. I don't want to see you so near the Thunderpath again, she snapped as she reached them. Tallpaw stared at her in surprise, but it's deserted. Monsters travel as fast as birds. They're bigger than you can imagine. It's our planet. But it's... Dawnstripe now in her eyes. When I tell you something, you listen. You don't argue. Tallpaw's throat tightened with anger, but he swallowed it back. I can't wait to be a warrior. Tallpaw helped the young Morn runners mark the border that ran level with the Thunderpath, following the high moor gorge toward the gorge. I'm bored. Tallpaw stopped to spray another clump of heather. Wearily, he watched Lark Splash double back to follow yet another scent trail that had crossed the boundary. At this rate, they'd be marking borders till nightfall. Is that River Clan, Dawnstripe called after Lark Splash? The tortoiseshell warrior sniffed at her. Just the two, like. Do they have a dog with them? Restock hurried to taste the scent. Lark Splash shook her head. Stage Sleep climbed to a hammock and lifted his chain. But no dog on this part of the moor and a moon. Restock looked at us. Since you started patrolling, I suppose. If we keep moving, Tallpaw's legs itched. He wanted to run. Why couldn't they find a fresh rabbit scent? Something he could chase. Stage Sleep bounded from the hammock and marched along the scent line, tail high. They're scared of my scent. Who, Don? Tallpaw was puzzled. Rabbits? Stage Sleep flashed him a look. Dogs! Tallpaw snorted, ducking as Stage Sleep launched a plane, attacked and wiped his ears. We're patrolling the border, Dawnstripe reminded them sternly. Tallpaw frowned. Why weren't they allowed to have any fun? He stopped and sprayed a grossed him half-heartedly. In the distance, he could hear water. At least they were nearly at the garage, after they could head for camp and do some proper training. He followed Lark Splash as she disappeared into a patch of heather. He pushed through the whippy branches, the rest of the patrol at his heels. The path wound through hummocks, spiky twigs, pressing in on all sides. The pollen-heavy blossom made Tallpaw sneeze. He was relieved the heather opened and onto grass near the cliff. Lark Splash, Restock, and Dawnpuff fanned out and sniffed at the scent line that ran along the garage. Tallpaw crept forward and peered over the edge. Grimleaf had calmed the water, and it flowed smoothly far below, winding between the cliffs. Is it deep? He asked Stage Sleep. Stage Sleep shrugged. How would I know? Tallpaw scanned the sheer rock, spotting a narrow ledge at the water's edge. We ran the whole length of the garage, opening at the end of the grassland. Have we been down there? Ever? Stage Sleep shook his head. It's too dangerous in Leaf Bear. In New Leaf, the snow melt, and the river covers it. But it's a good route to get to the Two-Leg Bridge without being seen by River Clan. Tallpaw nodded towards the wooden pathway spanning the road just visible beyond the garage. Are you planning to invade River Clan territory? Stage Sleep teased. As he spoke, Tallpaw felt a faint shudder in the ground beneath him. His fur lifted along his spine. What was that? Before Stage Sleep answered, Yules echoed behind him. Tallpaw spun around, scaring them more. You could see nothing but birds swooping across the heather. Lark Splash tasted the air. The yells sounded again, deep and hollow, strangely muffled. Restock's gray fur stood on the ends. What is that? Tallpaw started to the edge of the garage and looked over. Was someone calling from the bottom? It's coming from over here, Dawn Stripe was sniffing out a rabbit hole a few lengths away. She backed away as the yells grew louder. Sandgrass burst out of the hole. First spiked, eyes wide, he glanced over his shoulder as Miss Mouse hurtled out on his heels. Are you okay? He circled his mud-streaked towelmate, sniffing her anxiously. I'm fine, she panted. Her pelt was thick with mud. Sandgrass stuck his head down the hole and yelled. Tallpaw pricked his ears as the distant yells sounded back. They're safe, Sandgrass straightened up. Sitting in those slug spots for the first time. Just a cave-in. The others are safe. Huck and Nelson will tell experts. They'll find their way out through a lower entrance if they need to. He shook his head and shook out his pelt. Tallpaw rushed over to his father. What happened? Sandgrass touched his nose to Tallpaw's head. Too much sunshine, he explained. Matter-of-factly. Makes the soil shrink, rocks jump, and we get cave-ins. He looked at the wide blue sky. Could sure use a few days of rain. Tallpaw winced. What if Sandgrass had been caught in the cave-in? The last half-moon he had been aware of more and more distance between himself and his father. Sandgrass spoke to him, but not that often. And not with the warmth he had before. If he could just see how well Tallpaw was doing his training, he would understand that he had chosen the right path and everything would be okay again. Sandgrass padded away, weaving between Dawn Stripe and stage sleep. Like patrolling the borders? We're nearly finished, Dawn Stripe told him. No signs of intruders. The tunnel gazed at the heather. We've been digging all night. Tall restock blinked on. Aren't you tired? Sandgrass's eyes shone. We're close to breaking through the garage. His ears twisted excitedly. I'm not resting till it's done. Miss Mouse peered down the tunnel. What about the cave-in? We'll clear it in no time, Sandgrass nosed past her, his meow echoing as he stuck his head into the hole. The soil is light. It'll be easy to burrow through. He ducked and looked at Dawn Stripe. It's really the perfect time to give Tallpaw some tunneling experience. Tallpaw's pelt bristled. He forced it flat. But we're patrolling the borders. Sandgrass kept his gaze on Dawn Stripe. You said you'd nearly finish. Dawn Stripe glanced at Tallpaw. Tallstar does want every word. It's been a day underground, she conceded. At least a day. There's an edge to Sandgrass's mew. How will war runners appreciate the points of the tunnels if they don't know what it's like to be underground? Of course. Dawn Stripe shifted her paws. Please, no, Tallpaw begged her silently. Then it settled. Sandgrass beckoned Tallpaw with a flick of his tail. Tallpaw looked hopefully at Dawn Stripe. Is it? You might as well go with him, Dawn Stripe dipped her head. When you're finished, come and find me in camp. Okay. Swallowing, Tallpaw padded after his father. The rabbit hole loomed in front of him like a black mouse sucking him in. There can't be more than one cave-in today, surely. Sandgrass cried. I'm glad you finally have a chance to see what tunneling's all about. For the first time in half a moon, he gazed at Tallpaw with pride. Sandgrass purred. Tallpaw gritted his teeth. Couldn't let his father down now. I'm looking forward to it, he lied. Perhaps once he was underground, he'd understand why his father thought being a tunneler was special. Well, that's the end of Tallstar's Revenge, Chapter 9. I have been Music for 23. Thank you for listening. Chapter 10 probably will most likely not be uploaded tomorrow because I have school and I have variety show practice from 6, and then whenever I get done with my group, finish their group song together, our group song, I can leave. So, and I have other stuff, have to get cleaned up and most likely do any homework I'll have, but since I have a laptop, most assignments are online, so I won't have to worry. I don't need to make this video any longer. Comment, like, subscribe, bye!